Last month, I created dozens of free website reviews for companies just like yours. Here's a quick recap of some of the takeaways.
Right off the jump, I do want to address kind of how the site navigation is structured right now. There's a lot going on here, right? Like you have your star reviews, you have your phone number, there's a sub menu, then there's like another stacked menu with a search bar kind of nested in there. Overall, it feels like a lot, and I'm not exactly sure where my eye wants to go when I'm checking out this navigation for the first time. Ultimately, I think what you want to do is try to prioritize your primary nav to really work for a new customer. So certain things like this reorder, while I think it's good to have in the navigation, in my opinion, this could be something that could be more effective as, a secondary navigation item. Things like filter labels by use case, industry, environment. Maybe this can be organized in a different way where we're able to consolidate this into a single dropdown versus multiple dropdowns. I know under use case in particular, there's a lot in here, so it might be challenging, but I do have a couple of examples of how this could potentially be structured differently. Another thing to note too, whenever you're structuring a navigation menu like this, what you want to try to avoid is wrapping. Obviously, just makes it a little bit more cluttered, but it also hurts the usability because you can't necessarily distinguish which links which from a glance. For instance, like this may not be clear to somebody that this is a single link. They might think that these are two separate things to click on here. One site that we worked on that had similarly robust navigation is this hit site. We've kind of, as you can see, opted to center the logo, move some navigation elements to the left, some to the right, and then we have the primary in the middle. And then this primary is kind of accompanied by this larger drop down. So under expertise, which could parallel to use cases, you have these different elements here. And then each one also has a visual connected with it. So in their case, when they're talking about these very different markets that they serve, these kind of connect visual examples of their work in the navigation itself. Could be an interesting way of reinforcing something like your use case here, where maybe you actually even have a preview of what those use cases are in action to kind of bring it home for somebody who may be less familiar with the product. There's a lot of business jargon language being used on this page. I think depending on your audience and who you're reaching out to, there's probably going to be a lot of people who just don't walk away from this page not even really understanding what this product is or what it does. And I think aside from design, which there's things there that I'll kind of talk about a little bit, but the first thing you really need to focus on is how do you make this more humanized and easy to understand for a non-technical person. And just using simpler language to do so. So when I'm reading your headline, unlock the power of effortless engagement, cutting edge NFC technology revolutionizing the way organizers connect with their audience. This solution offers seamless and engaging experience for attendees at in-person meetings and events. There's a lot of words in here that don't carry a lot of weight or mean a whole lot. So cutting edge, NFC, was able to figure out what that term means by going lower on your page and read through your FAQs, but somebody might not know what this word means initially. Revolutionizing. So there's a lot of jargony business speak in this header and not a lot explaining what you do, right? So I took a stab at just doing a quick rewrite. So the objective is to have kind of an emotional connection and then also make it really clear what it is you do. Proposed headline that you can switch up to is connect with every member of your audience. We help any organization with in-person events connect through the use of near-field communication, NFC technology. This to me is a lot more straightforward and says immediately what you do in plain language without having to kind of dress it up with some of those other terms. The next step, you kind of just have these different, I'm assuming, discs that you've created visible. I think there's a big missed opportunity here because if I'm reading this and I don't really know what you're selling, and then I see this, not sure what this is, right? Like, is this a button? Is this a plate? Like, for the uneducated person, they're not going to know what this is. So I think your next best step is to kind of start to address the pain point and challenge that people are experiencing. So what I wrote here was, wouldn't it be amazing to never miss a face in a crowd? There are a lot of moving parts to every event, and even the best host can't engage with every attendee until now. Right now, you're setting the stage where you can then immediately start to dive in and further explain what it is your product does and what problems it solves. Right off the bat, I just think, like, structurally, color palette wise, things are off. Your navigation has these black rectangles kind of enclosing the different tabs, which kind of immediately draw my eye there and make it difficult for me to look down on the page and actually read the copy. The kind of interchanging of colors for the text, I think, both makes it more difficult to read and also hurts your ability to have a cohesive message here. Also, all the text is pretty similar in size, so there's not really a dominant heading and subheading. It all kind of blends together. And I know there's certain elements in here that are trying to clean that up, but I don't think it's doing an effective job of doing that. Also, without reading the text on here, there's no visual cues or anything that really let me know that this is a cleaning supply company. And I think that's a challenge because we're banking on somebody to spend their time reading here when in reality you're gonna have 5 seconds or less to catch somebody's attention and make them want to continue to explore the site. I definitely feel like from a navigation perspective, we should be focusing on how can we limit the number of options that somebody sees. As I explored further in the site, I noticed that pricing is not available unless you are a registered member. So I do think that this register button, if there was one thing that was going to be kind of a dominant feature that gets highlighted, it should be this register button. I would opt for a more traditional structure for the navigation that doesn't put these containers around the elements. I think ideally we should be trying to trim down the amount of options in the navigation to about 5 to 7. That's kind of a sweet spot. So, lots going on up here. A couple of examples of how you can potentially structure a pretty in-depth navigation. So one of our clients here, seals.com, similar in terms of they have a really big product library, and it is a library of products that they're not selling dresses or sneakers or things that are super visually exciting. They're selling security seals, mainly for vehicles and transport. When you land on this page, you can see there's a pretty big difference already with how there's a visual hierarchy. I immediately understand what they're selling within the first few seconds here. And the navigation itself is way more simple than the one that you currently have on your site. So one of the things that we did, now they have a lot of subcategories underneath these, encourage you to do is under cleaning chemical, paper dispensers, or these similar products. Like maybe we can have one drop down that has the top levels. And then when we click on it, it brings us to the category page. That would be maybe an extra step than what they have now, but it would allow you to really simplify this navigation and get them to the main category that they're most interested in. And then if we have a well-structured product category page to greet them after the fact, it'll be pretty easy for them to filter and drill down to what they need.
If you'd like a review like this for your brand, follow me on LinkedIn and subscribe to notifications. Once per month on Wednesdays, I'll do as many public reviews as I can in 24 hours. See you there.